Deputy Assistant Secretary Charlene Lamb testified before Congress that on the night she was in the Diplomatic Security Command Center in Washington, was in real-time contact with the Diplomatic Security Agency agent who was manning the Tactical Operations Center on the grounds in Benghazi. He had alerted the embassy in Tripoli, the CIA, the Bureau of Diplomatic Security in Washington. Did you talk to Charlene Lamb that evening?
No, I did not, but I was in direct communication with everyone who was.
Okay, welcome to Give Me Five, ladies and gentlemen, as we go in depth with some of the more interesting segments from Hillary's two interview events yesterday. Fox News with Bret Baier and Greta Van Susteren, where that was from, and of course she did the CNN town hall. We'll focus now on her talk about Benghazi with Bret Baier. He was noting that she had at one point gone back home, but said she remained in close contact with everybody of importance, and there's one person that she did not speak directly to, the person who was in direct contact with people who were on the ground, although she said she spoke to everyone else who was in contact with her top deputy. More from Bret Baier. Did you talk to Secretary Panetta that night?
I talked with Director Petraeus. I talked on a secure video conference with a full array of officials. I knew, because I had talked with the National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon, that both Secretary Panetta and General Dempsey were doing everything they could. We had open lines. I can't recall. I know that the Defense Department was in the room in the video conference that I held.
All right, so she doesn't know if it was an open line. She did not speak to the Secretary of, she did not speak to Leon Panetta, okay? She did not speak to her top deputy. You would think she would have consulted with Panetta. I mean, that's just a natural. Panetta and the president would be the first two people I would want to speak with, outside of people who know exactly what was happening in Benghazi at the time, real time. Next.
This was the fog of war. You know, my own assessment careened from, you know, the video had something to do with it, the video had nothing to do with it. It may have affected some people, it didn't affect other people. And I think the conclusion to draw, because we were not just monitoring what was happening in Benghazi once it began to unfold, but remember we had a very dangerous assault on our embassy in Cairo that same day, which was clearly linked to that video. So I was trying to make sense of it. And, you know, I think that the investigations that have been carried out basically conclude we can't say that everybody was influenced and we can't say everybody wasn't, but what the intelligence community said was spontaneous protests, and that is what at the time they thought.
Okay. So she's still holding out hope here that some of the people involved were influenced by the video. She could call it the fog of war all she wants, but days later when those bodies came home in the flag-draped coffins, she told the relatives, the mothers and fathers of the dead, we're going to get the guy who made that video. So she was still pushing that narrative all those days later. She and Barack Obama made a video that aired in Pakistan and elsewhere apologizing for freedom of speech in the United States and for that video. So don't call it the fog of war, because after she had time to think about it and after the facts came in, they still pushed the video narrative. Next.
There's no doubt terrorists were involved. There is no doubt. And I, from the very beginning, and in my statements, as you know, and as I write in the chapter, said that, you know, these were attackers. Now, who was leading them? We think we now have one of the ringleaders in custody, but others were either motivated because of their extremism and their ideology, and others came along for the ride, and maybe others also were motivated by the video.
So she still today believes it could have been the video in the minds of some. Watch this.
10:07, you put out this press release saying, quote, I condemn in the strongest terms the attack on our mission in Benghazi today. Some have sought to justify this vicious behavior as a response to inflammatory material posted on the internet. The United States deplores any intentional effort to denigrate the religious beliefs of others. Our commitment to religious tolerance goes back to the very beginning of our nation, but let me be clear, there is never any justification for violent acts of this kind. Did you talk about the video with President Obama?
I don't know that I talked about it with him at that conversation. We had since on numerous occasions, because part of what we were trying to sort out is what caused this.
Okay. She came off looking really bad on this, in my opinion, on the Steve Malzberg show.